Imagine being born in a small, crowded home, the youngest of 14 children, with nothing but a voice and a dream. Now imagine that same voice one day filling arenas, topping charts, and touching millions across the world. This is the story of Céline Dion, a journey of raw talent, relentless struggle, heartbreaking loss, and unstoppable courage. In this video, you'll discover how a shy, awkward girl from Quebec became a global superstar, how love and family shaped her life, how she conquered grief and illness, and how her resilience continues to inspire millions even today. Get ready to experience her rise, her heartbreaks, and her triumphs chapter by chapter, because this isn't just the story of a singer. It's the story of a woman who dared to dream big, fight for love, and keep shining, no matter the odds. And in the end, you'll see how her story reminds us to protect what we love most. This is Silenced by Pain, the story of Céline Dion like you've never heard before. In the quiet town of Charlemagne, Quebec, on March 30th, 1968, a child was born into a world that offered very little except love, music, and resilience. Her name was Céline Marie Claudette Dion, the youngest of 14 children in a large, working-class family struggling to survive day by day. Money was scarce. The Dion household was crowded, noisy, and often uncertain. Her father, Adhemar Dion, worked as a butcher, while her mother, Thérèse Dion, stayed home, raising the children and doing everything she could to keep the family together. They lived modestly, sometimes barely making ends meet, but one thing filled their home more than anything else: music. Music wasn't a luxury in the Dion family. It was a necessity. The Dion parents ran a small piano bar, and from a very young age, Céline watched her siblings sing, play instruments, and entertain guests. While other children were learning games, Céline was absorbing melodies, rhythms, and emotion. She didn't understand fame or success, but she understood feeling. And that would later become her greatest strength. At just 5 years old, Céline stood in front of people for the first time, not on a grand stage, but at her brother's wedding. When she sang, something changed in the room. It wasn't just that her voice was strong, it was pure, emotional, and unusually mature for such a small child. People stopped talking. Some cried. Others stared in disbelief. Her mother noticed something special. Recognizing Céline's gift, Thérèse helped her write her first song at age 12, titled Ce n'était qu'un rêve, It Was Only a Dream. The family recorded the song on a simple cassette tape, no studio, no producers, no money. Just belief. That cassette would change Céline's life forever. The tape was sent to a well-known music manager in Quebec, Renè Angélil. When René listened to the recording, he didn't see a poor girl from a small town. He heard destiny. He reportedly cried after hearing Céline sing and immediately knew this was a voice the world needed to hear. But belief alone wasn't enough. To support Céline's career, René did something almost unthinkable. He mortgaged his own house to finance her first album. He risked everything on a 12-year-old girl with a dream. No guarantees. No safety net. This moment marked the true beginning of Céline Dion's journey. She was still a child, shy, awkward, wearing thick glasses, and often bullied for her looks and accent. She didn't fit the image of a star. But what she had was far more powerful than appearance: an unbreakable voice and a family that believed in her when the world didn't yet know her name. From a small home filled with struggle, Céline Dion was stepping toward a future no one could yet imagine. And this was only the beginning. Success arrived early for Céline Dion, but it did not arrive gently. At just 13 years old, Céline released her first albums in Quebec and France. Almost overnight, she became a child star in the French-speaking world. Her songs played on the radio, her face appeared on television, and crowds began to recognize her voice wherever she went. But while the world celebrated her talent, Céline was quietly losing her childhood. Instead of playing with friends or attending school like other children, she spent her days in recording studios, rehearsal rooms, and long road trips. Her education came not from classrooms but from airports and hotel rooms. She learned discipline early, how to perform even when tired, how to smile even when overwhelmed, and how to carry responsibility far beyond her age. Fame can be intoxicating, but for a child, it can also be frightening. Céline was shy by nature. She spoke softly offstage and struggled with self-confidence. She was painfully aware that she didn't fit the glamorous image expected of a star. She had buck teeth, a thin frame, unfashionable clothes, and an accent that made her feel out of place. Critics and classmates mocked her. Some even told her she would never succeed internationally because she didn't look like a star. Those words hurt, but they did not stop her. Behind the scenes, Renè Angélil was shaping not just her career but also her character. He pushed Celine hard, sometimes too hard, but always with a long-term vision. He believed her voice could conquer the world, but he also knew raw talent wasn't enough. So he made a difficult decision. At the height of her early fame, Renè pulled Celine out of the spotlight. For nearly 2 years, Celine disappeared from the music scene. Fans wondered where she had gone. Some assumed her career was over before it truly began. But this pause was intentional. It was a period of transformation. During this time, Celine focused on vocal training to strengthen and mature her voice. Learning English, even though she struggled with pronunciation. Personal growth, trying to understand who she was beyond fame. It wasn't easy. She doubted herself constantly. Learning English made her feel embarrassed and vulnerable. She hated hearing her own accent and feared she would never be accepted outside the French-speaking world. Many nights, she cried in frustration, wondering if all the sacrifice was worth it. But slowly, something began to change. Her voice deepened. Her confidence grew. Her dream expanded beyond Quebec. When Celine finally returned to the stage in the mid-1980s, she was no longer just a talented child singer. She was becoming a serious artist, one willing to start over, work harder, and aim higher than ever before. The world didn't know it yet, but Céline Dion was preparing for her first major international test. And it would come in the form of a competition watched by millions. In 1988, Céline Dion stood at the edge of the unknown. She was just 20 years old, still insecure, still doubting her place in the global music world. She was famous in French-speaking countries. Yes, but internationally, she was almost invisible. The English-speaking market seemed like a locked door, guarded by accents, image expectations, and industry gatekeepers who had already decided what a global star should look like. But fate had other plans. That year, Celine was selected to represent Switzerland in the Eurovision Song Contest, one of the biggest music competitions in the world, watched by millions across Europe. It was unusual. A Canadian singer representing a European country. Critics questioned the choice. Some dismissed her as an outsider who didn't belong on that stage. Celine felt the pressure deeply. Backstage, surrounded by confident performers and flashing cameras, her nerves nearly overwhelmed her. She later admitted she was terrified not just of losing, but of being judged, rejected, and confirmed as not enough. But when she walked onto the stage and the music began, everything else disappeared. The song was Ni partez pas sans moi, a plea, a promise, a cry from the heart. Celine sang with everything she had. Her voice soared, controlled yet emotional, powerful yet vulnerable. It wasn't just a performance. It was a declaration. When the final notes faded, the room erupted. Votes came in slowly. Tension filled the arena. Then, in one of the closest finishes in Eurovision history, Céline Dion won by a single point. 1 point. That single point changed her life. Overnight, Celine became known across Europe. Record labels began paying attention. Industry executives who had once ignored her now wanted meetings. Doors that had been firmly shut suddenly cracked open. But more importantly, something shifted inside her. For the first time, Celine believed, not hoped, not dreamed, but believed that her voice could cross borders, languages, and cultures. She realized that authenticity mattered more than perfection and that emotion could travel farther than image. Yet victory did not bring comfort. Instead, it brought a new challenge. Success at Eurovision raised expectations to an almost impossible level. People now expected Celine to conquer the English-speaking world next. Many doubted she could do it. Her accent was still strong. Her style didn't match American pop trends. And the competition was ruthless. But Celine had learned something crucial. Fear does not disappear when you succeed. You simply learn to walk forward with it. Armed with discipline, humility, and a voice sharpened by years of struggle, Céline Dion stepped into the most difficult phase of her journey yet, starting from zero in a market that didn't know her name. The real battle was just beginning. Winning Eurovision opened doors, but it did not guarantee success. When Céline Dion set her sights on the English-speaking music market, she quickly discovered a harsh truth: past victories meant very little here. In North America, she was not a champion. She was a beginner. She barely spoke English. She didn't look like a pop star. And she didn't fit neatly into any trend. Record executives were polite but skeptical. Some told her directly that her accent was too strong. Others said her style was outdated. A few suggested she should stay in the French market, where she was already safe and successful. But Céline refused the comfort of safety. She threw herself into learning English with relentless discipline, studying grammar, practicing pronunciation, and forcing herself to speak even when embarrassed. Interviews were painful. Every sentence felt like a test. She often worried people were laughing at her mistakes instead of listening to her music. At the same time, René Angélil made another bold move. He repositioned Céline not as a French novelty, but as a vocal powerhouse capable of emotional depth few could match. Together, they bet everything once more. In 1990, Céline released her first English album, Unison. It wasn't an instant explosion. Sales were modest. Critics were cautious. But one thing was undeniable: her voice stood out. Songs like Where Does My Heart Beat Now slowly climbed the charts, eventually breaking into the top 10 in the United States. For Céline, this was proof that persistence worked. Still, success came at a cost. She lived a lonely life, far from home, family, and familiarity. The pressure to perform perfectly never stopped. She worked tirelessly, often pushing her body and emotions to the edge. Behind the scenes, self-doubt followed her everywhere. Then came a moment that tested her in a completely different way. As Céline matured, so did her relationship with Renè Angélil. What had begun as professional trust quietly turned into deep emotional love. But their bond shocked the public. Renè was 26 years older than Céline. When their relationship became public, backlash was immediate and harsh. Fans felt betrayed. Media headlines were cruel. Critics accused Renè of manipulation. Céline was judged relentlessly not for her voice, but for her personal choices. It hurt deeply. Yet, instead of hiding or apologizing, Céline did something brave. She stood her ground. She spoke openly about her feelings and refused to let public opinion dictate her happiness. For the first time, she wasn't just fighting for her career, she was fighting for her right to love and live honestly. Professionally, her determination paid off. In 1992, Céline recorded the theme song for Disney's Beauty and the Beast. The song became a massive hit, winning a Grammy Award and introducing her voice to millions of new listeners, children and adults alike. That song did more than win awards. It proved that Céline Dion had arrived. No longer just a foreign singer with an accent, she was now a global voice capable of tenderness, strength, and emotional truth. The industry had underestimated her, and they would never make that mistake again. By the early 1990s, Céline Dion was no longer knocking on doors. She was walking through them. After the success of Beauty and the Beast, the music industry began to see what Renè Angélil had believed all along. Céline's voice wasn't just good, it was rare. It carried power without losing tenderness and precision without losing emotion. In a world chasing trends, she offered something timeless. In 1993, Céline released the album The Color of My Love. This was not just another album. It was a statement. Songs like The Power of Love and Think Twice dominated radio stations around the world. The Power of Love reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, making Céline the first Canadian female artist to achieve that milestone. But behind the chart, success was a personal transformation. In December 1994, Céline married Renè Angélil in a lavish ceremony at Notre Dame Basilica in Montreal. The wedding was broadcast on television, watched by millions. The same relationship that once drew criticism was now celebrated, proof that patience and honesty could outlast judgment. Yet superstardom brought new pressure. Céline toured relentlessly, performing night after night to sold-out arenas. The applause was thunderous, but the pace was exhausting. She often struggled with fatigue and emotional strain, questioning how long she could keep giving so much of herself to the world. Still, she pressed on. In 1996, Celine released Falling Into You, the album that sealed her place in music history. It wasn't just successful, it was unstoppable. The album sold over 30 million copies worldwide and won the Grammy Award for Album of the Year. Songs like Because You Loved Me, It's All Coming Back to Me Now became anthems of love, loss, and gratitude. Listeners didn't just hear Celine, they felt her. Her music played at weddings, funerals, graduations, and quiet moments of reflection. She had become the voice people turned to when words failed them. But as the world celebrated Céline Dion, the superstar, a storm was quietly forming behind the scenes, one that would test her strength beyond fame, awards, or applause. Because life, even at the top, does not stop delivering challenges. In 1997, Céline Dion reached a level of fame that few artists in history ever experienced. By then, she was already a global superstar, but fate had one more moment prepared for her. A moment that would attach her voice to a story of love, loss, and human vulnerability, and echo across generations. The film was Titanic. At first, Celine didn't even want to record the song. The track, My Heart Will Go On, was written as a demo. Celine felt she had already recorded many big love ballads and wasn't convinced this one was necessary. René, however, sensed something special and encouraged her to record it just once. That one take changed everything. When the song was released, it became more than music. It became a global phenomenon. It played everywhere on radios, in homes, at weddings, at memorials. It crossed languages, cultures, and borders. For many people, the song was the emotion of the film itself. My Heart Will Go On won Academy Award, Oscar, for Best Original Song, Golden Globe Award, multiple Grammy Awards, including Record of the Year. It became one of the best-selling singles of all time. Céline Dion was now at the absolute summit of music. She performed the song at the Academy Awards, standing alone on stage, her voice steady, her presence commanding. Billions had heard her sing, but in that moment, the world truly listened. Yet success at this level came with an invisible cost. Celine was exhausted, physically, mentally, and emotionally. She had spent nearly her entire life performing, giving, and carrying expectations. Fame no longer felt exciting, it felt heavy. Every appearance had pressure. Every note had to be perfect. Then came devastating news. In 1999, René Angélil was diagnosed with throat cancer. The man who had believed in Celine before anyone else, who had risked everything for her, now faced a life-threatening illness. For Celine, the fear was overwhelming. Suddenly, awards and applause felt meaningless. She made a decision that shocked the industry. At the height of her career, Celine stepped away from the spotlight. She cancelled tours, paused recording, and chose love over fame. She became René's caregiver, standing by his side through treatment, uncertainty, and pain. It was the hardest role she had ever played, far harder than performing for millions. In that quiet withdrawal, Celine rediscovered something she had nearly lost, herself. She learned that strength isn't always about singing louder or standing taller. Sometimes, it's about staying present when life hurts the most. When Céline Dion returned to the public eye in the early 2000s, she was no longer chasing success. She was protecting what mattered most. After Renè Angélil's cancer went into remission, Celine slowly stepped back into music, but on her own terms. She had already proven everything the industry demanded. Now, she wanted a life beyond stages and spotlights. In 2001, Celine gave birth to her first child, René Charles. Motherhood changed her profoundly. For the first time, her world revolved around someone who didn't care about awards, record sales, or fame. Being a mother grounded her in ways success never could. She once said that nothing, not even music, came close to the love she felt for her child. Rather than endless touring, Celine made a strategic decision that surprised many. She began a Las Vegas residency. At the time, residencies were seen as something artists did near retirement. But Celine transformed the idea entirely. Her show, A New Day, launched in 2003 and became one of the most successful concert residencies in history, selling millions of tickets. The residency allowed her to perform at the highest level, stay close to her family, maintain control over her health and time. Once again, Celine rewrote the rules. But life was not finished testing her. In 2010, after years of fertility struggles, Celine gave birth to twin boys, Eddie and Nelson. The joy was overwhelming, but it came after physical and emotional exhaustion. She had fought hard for this happiness, and she cherished it fiercely. Then, the storm returned. René's cancer came back, stronger and more aggressive. This time, the prognosis was darker. Celine continued performing when she could, but her heart was split between the stage and the hospital. She smiled for audiences while privately preparing for the possibility of losing the man who had been her mentor, protector, and partner for over 2 decades. In 2016, Renè Angélil passed away. Just 2 days later, Celine lost her beloved brother Daniel Dion to cancer as well. The grief was unbearable. For months, Celine disappeared from the public eye. When she finally returned to the stage, she did so not as an untouchable star, but as a grieving widow and mother, standing through heartbreak with quiet dignity. She sang again, not because it was easy, but because it was healing. Her voice carried sorrow now, but also wisdom. Celine Dion had learned that life's greatest lessons don't come from success. They come from love, loss, and the courage to keep going when everything hurts. And still, her story was not over. After unimaginable loss, Celine Dion tried to do what she had always done, keep going. She returned to touring, determined to honor René's memory and remain strong for her children. On stage, she still delivered powerful performances, but behind the curtain, something was wrong. Her body began to betray her in ways she didn't understand. At first, it was subtle. Muscle spasms, uncontrollable stiffness, pain that came without warning. Doctors searched for answers while Celine pushed herself to perform, refusing to disappoint her fans. But the symptoms worsened. Singing, once as natural as breathing, became unpredictable and frightening. In 2022, Celine made a heartbreaking announcement. She was diagnosed with stiff person syndrome, a rare and incurable neurological disorder that affects muscle control and can make everyday movement and singing extremely difficult. For the first time in her life, Celine had to face an enemy she couldn't outwork. Tours were cancelled. Performances postponed. The stage, her lifelong refuge, fell silent. For someone whose identity was built around her voice, the silence was devastating. But Celine chose honesty over hiding. She spoke openly about her condition, allowing the world to see her vulnerability. She shared tears, fear, and frustration not as weakness, but as truth. Millions were moved by her courage, finding strength in her willingness to say, "I'm not okay, but I'm still here." Despite the pain, Celine continued therapy, rehabilitation, and vocal training when possible. Not to chase fame, but to reclaim pieces of herself. Every small improvement became a victory. Every day she stood upright was a triumph. Her message changed. It was no longer just about love songs or heartbreak. It became about endurance, dignity, and hope in uncertainty. Celine Dion showed the world that greatness is not measured by how loudly you sing, but by how bravely you face what tries to silence you. From a poor home in Quebec to global superstardom, from thunderous applause to quiet resilience, her life stands as proof that inspiration doesn't end when success fades. Sometimes, it begins there. Celine Dion's legacy is safe, and it's still being written. But most importantly, it is her example of perseverance, love, and authenticity, a guide for anyone who dreams, struggles, or loses hope. Celine Dion's life teaches us that no matter how small we start, no matter the struggles we face, we can rise with courage, love deeply, and leave a legacy that inspires the world. That's the inspirational story of Celine Dion. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and join us in our mission to save the Earth. Like Celine's voice, our planet deserves to be heard, cherished, and preserved, so together, we can make a difference.